Good morning. Um, Tough loss. Um, One of those things that happened in this league. Um, the one thing that we do a really good job of as a team and as an organization is we move on quickly and we go to the next task at hand. And our next task at hand is Minnesota. All right, so all hands on deck. Um, our guys are looking forward to the challenge. We as coaches look forward to the challenge. We'll be ready to go.
You always hear a lot of coaches say uh, priority one defensively is taking away their best weapon.
Yeah.
But I think you've shown, even in Dallas, letting the best weapon go, you can still win a football game and still have a really good defensive performance. So where do you stand on that? How important is it to taking away the best weapon to an overall defensive performance? Is it critical or is it not?
Well, everyone has a different philosophy on that, and my philosophy is always to try to do that. But here's what I do know: I am a realist, and I do know some of these guys they're gonna make plays. I mean, you look at what Jefferson did, man. We had him doubled on a number of occasions, and he just went up there and he made the play. We talked about that the last time we played him. You look at C.D. Lamb. I mean, listen, I know everybody sees the 227 yards, but there was 92 on one play that shouldn't have happened. We missed a tackle on another one, which resulted in like 30-some yards. So a lot of his bulk yards came in that situation. And then we have to win our one-on-ones, all right? Because the thing that I do know, we're best when we're going to try to be aggressive on people. And I think that's when we play our best. And our guys like playing that way. So, listen, we got to win our one-on-ones, but we also, when we got a guy double, we got to take him out.
When you say aggressive, does that line up with what Dan said about being more physical at the line to start?
All the above.
Yeah.
All the above. Physical at the line, be attacking with our play calls. And also, when we are just playing like true four-man rush, man, just being attacking with our four-man rush and guys beating one-on-ones. And then guys are going to challenging receivers.
As a cornerback, what are the risks, the pitfalls of challenging a guy to line? What do you have to be careful of when you're physical at the line of scrimmage?
All getting beat. Yeah. I mean, that's any receiver. I mean, listen, in this league, when you play aggressive, I mean, some people call it risk reward, but it's the fact that you want to always have that mindset. And listen, as a corner, man, things are going to happen out there. You're going to get beat, but man, it's how you react to the next plays that come up. And to me, that's the most important thing. And our philosophy has always been, man, we want to limit points. And I thought we did a pretty good job of that against Dallas. And we want to continue to do that. That's the number one thing we try to do for the most part. And listen, we know there's some good players in this league. We do everything we can to take that player out. And our guys just got to go up there and just got to finish it.
I think defense is 6 takeaways in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Kind of what's fueled that? You just saw this quarterback. You had 4 picks on him
Yeah.
less than 2 weeks ago. Kind of what goes into the game plan and how does that feel?
Listen, you got to credit our players on that. They're understanding exactly what's coming to them. They're being aggressive, like we just talked about, as far as attacking the football. They're looking to punch the football out at any given time. And it's a mentality. And I told our guys the other day, man, it's becoming a DNA of ours because it happened last year, probably by mid-season. Now, we started a little late, all right? It happened about the last 5 games. But, man, our guys really understand that. And it helps us as a team as far as wins and losses, too. So when we win that turnover battle, usually we come out with a win. So we want to continue to do that.
How it's fun. Played so well at the line, stopping the run, and also on this takeover, having
Yeah.
streak since he's been in the starting lineup.
Well, listen, and I said this the last time we talked about this player. Coming from corner to being safety, man, that's a transition. And, there's a number of things that he has to learn. And I think he's starting to really understand that position in totality. So not only is he understanding from a back-end perspective, but he also understands where he fits in the paint also. And, man, with the help of Alex, Jack, Barnes, all those guys working together, he really understands that. And he understands exactly how to blitz also. And that's really one of his strong points. You see it happen in practice, and he's just transitioned that from practice over to the field.
You understand all along that you like a lot of the things that Aiden Hutchinson have been doing this season,
Yeah.
but to see him, get rewarded with the sacks, man, what do you feel like that does for him, to end
For
the
you
season?
guys to stay off his back, that's what it does. Because the things you guys really don't look at, we see as coaches. So kudos to him.
Do you think for him in any way at all? I mean, was he trying to get those numbers or pushing, or for him as well?
Aiden was being Aiden. He was Ben Aiden. And he's going to do things within the defense for us to be successful. And sometimes, he has to be a guy that's going to have to take a blocker for somebody else to go. And sometimes we're going to put him in a position for him to go and go make his plays. And that's what's so good about that player. He's selfless, and he's going to do whatever it takes for us as a team to win. And he doesn't listen to all the outside noise. He gets that. I mean, I told you, once you get in this league, especially the pick he was at, two things he's going to have to worry about. Those expectations that's one of them. So, and he get it.
At the end of the season, and teams are in spots where they can play young guys, sort of get ready for the future. You guys obviously a different spot this year. Just curious what you think you have in Broderick Martin and Stephen Gilmore, since they haven't got a lot of playing time. What you've seen from them.
Developmental players. That's exactly what they are. That's exactly what they are.
What have you seen growth-wise from both of those guys?
In practice, that's exactly what we're looking for, those guys. I mean, the one thing about Gilly, and I think we all saw this here in training camp, he's a guy that can get the ball back. And he's doing that in practice also. But, man, there are other guys that we have that's playing. I mean, it's hard to just play everybody. Same thing with Broderick. I mean, he's a guy that came from a smaller school. But, man, I said this before, the thing that he has to understand, man, how to use his hand, how to, pad level. And it's hard for a man that's about 6'7" to do that. So he has to continue to work on those things. And our coach is doing a good job of working with him on that. Absolutely. Absolutely. You look at the same thing with Iffy. I mean, Iffy is, 3 years? And now you're starting to see the fruits of his labor starting to show up. And listen, everybody's timetable is different. Listen, we all wish the guys could come in as a rookie and they could hit it like Laporta did. They could hit it like Jack did. But sometimes it take a while. And listen, we love those guys. We think those guys are going to be good players. We're going to continue to work with them.
Guys suffers a long-term injury. You guys have done a good job of keeping them around. I think
Yeah.
probably helping with their mental health as much as anything. But what are you getting as a staff, as a roster, by having E-Man around your cornerbacks? What is he providing you guys?
Man, let me tell you something. That player, that person, take the player out, that person is a really caring person. He cares about his teammates. He wants to see his guys do well. Man, you sit there and you watch him in the meetings and how he talks and how he interacts with everybody. That, man, you want that guy to be around because he's a vet. He's been around. He's been around winning. He's been around winning. And that's huge for us as an organization to have guys like that around in the building, even when, they have these injuries. So, man, I'm so appreciative of that player. I've always wanted to be around, and then imparting his wisdom into some of the young guys that we have. Gilly, for example, because he latches on. Gilly has latched on to E-Man quite a bit.
What did Kendall do to sort of catch your eye, weeks ago to earn the opportunity that he's gotten in practice? What did he do?
I think he's competing his butt off, man. He's really competing, and that's what you want as a corner. He understands the defense. Listen, when he got here, it took him a while to get it down, just like anybody. But once he got it down, he knew exactly what we were looking for, and he's out there competing his butt off. Say it again.
How do you think he's done?
He's been serviceable, man. Listen, the thing is, he's provided us with a veteran that's been around, that's played. I mean, he's starting this league for quite a bit, right, with Chicago. So I look forward to seeing him get better each week.
CJ's probably itching to get back out there. We know your relationship. Just getting him out there, him itching to be back out there. How do you keep him, patient in this process as well?
Well, he has no choice. That's what he has to do. So listen, we know that player wants to go out there and play. I mean, even when he was down, he was hurt, he wanted to go play. That's just how he's wired. But he understands the process also, so obviously you have to talk to him and keep him at bay. But he gets it. He gets it. And when he gets his chance to go out there and play, he's going to do a good job for us.
Another one of those veterans that you have in your room now is Alu. He got, I think, the most snaps of any defensive tackle last week. So
36 years old, huh?
Yeah. Just kind of curious how you thought he did out there and how valuable, again, having, a veteran out there while you guys make a playoff run here.
Listen, he did a really good job for us. You're talking about somebody that's going to go in there and battle and fight. That's who he is. That's who he's been. He's been on a number of teams, so he's able to impart his wisdom on some of the young guys that we have. So I'm glad that we have him. And I look forward to him continue to teach some of these guys. I mean, the thing is, I'm glad that Mac's going to have a chance to play next to him. And those guys go out there and battle. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing.
Assuming that you get CJ back for some snaps this
Yeah.
week, might mean some shifting roles on the defense. That being said, is it important to get them this week so they're not working that through in a playoff game?
Listen, I agree with that. And listen, all three of those guys are going to play because they're all like good players. And the one thing that we try to do as a defense is make sure we have our best players out on the field. Will they all three be on the field at the same time? Possibly. Would somebody be down and some? Possibly. But they're all going to play, and you'll see that.
I'm just wondering, did the thought of taking the roughing the passer penalty enter into his mind? Because I know linebackers don't sometimes have that clear of a path to a quarterback to.
Are you talking about on the?
On the blitz.
Did you ask him? Ask him.
I'm just wondering.
I didn't do. Ask him. You're asking me something that he needs to tell you.
Yeah, but also wondering then what's the coaching point on a play like that?
Go finish the play. All good. All right.
When you say all three, you're talking Kirby or you're talking British? With the, when you say all three of those guys are going to.
Talking about safeties.
Yeah, so Kirby.
Yeah, you're talking about Kirby,
Yeah.
Iffy, Francis out nickel.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
How we doing?
What are the difficulties of playing a team, twice in 3 weeks?
Yeah, it is kind of strange, I guess. It feels like you just played them and you're coming back and playing them again. I'll give you one other on top of that with Minnesota and Dallas, and then Minnesota again. Well, Minnesota's coordinator, he came from underneath Dallas's coordinator for a number of years. So really what they do on special teams is extremely similar. So 2 weeks ago, I said to our team, we're about to play Minnesota 3 weeks in a row or Dallas 3 weeks in a row, however you want to see it. But anyway, yeah, it is a little different. It's obviously different players, and the truth is they're playing with different players in this game probably than they did in the last game at a number of spots, I feel like. And we're a little bit that way, not probably as many, I don't think. But anyways, it'll be good. There's familiarity to it. You know what they're going to do. You know they're going to do something a little bit different. You know they learned from the last game. So did we. So there'll be a little bit different game plan, I think, going in on both sides, but also probably a lot of carryover.
Probably to see Jalen, get elected to the Pro Bowl, feather in your cap, and the whole special teams unit, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, individual things. The most important thing to me is always winning the football game, and I really mean that. But I would also say that, like, part of you being a coach is you want to see these players accomplish their dreams and their goals, and that is a huge part of it. It's a lot of the reason why you do it. So to see him get that, I was obviously thrilled to death for him. I will tell you that, like, I've had two other players that I think were definitely deserving of getting that, and they never got it, and it's a credit to him, but it's, the process is you have to become a known player, and so not only is it a credit to what he did this year, but really to what he's done in his 7 years in this league. And he's earned notoriety, and everybody out there knows who he is. And then on top of that, he goes out there and plays really well and then has a great year. So he's able to get that. But, yeah, I mean, I was distraught for these other two guys because I think they're deserving as well. And then, so to see him finally get that, to me, was outstanding for him personally. And it definitely is a reflection of the whole unit and what all those guys have done. But, yeah, I'm definitely happy for him, for sure.
Spoken to this before, but just what he's meant to that unit. I mean, we see him running the fakes, making the tackles. It's like he does a little bit of everything for you there.
Yeah, he does do everything for us. And more importantly to me, like, he really, I mean, he takes guys aside when he needs to. I think I spoke about how he's really kind of a leader by example. A lot of what he does is how he leads, but he also has a subtle way of, grabbing a guy and giving him some advice or a pointer, and really taking the leadership of the whole group under his hands. And he's done a great job with that. I mean, we're lucky to have him. I know that for sure.
How would you grade his throw?
God, the throw is incredible. I mean, and that really is the thing right there. It really is the throw. I mean, it was the throw, it was the catch. There was definitely great protection. Those guys all did a good job. But it was an incredible throw. And that's really what all these plays come down to. I think I've said to you guys before, and I fully believe this with everything in me, is that this game is ultimately a player's game. That's what the NFL is, and it's also what makes it great, is your matchup of your players, their players, and these guys in the heat of the moment being able to make plays. And God, my high school coach told me one time, a long, long time ago, we were watching a baseball game at our high school, and this kid turned a double play. He snared a ball, turned a double play just out of nowhere, and he said to me, he looked at me and said, "Hey, David, I'm just telling you, that guy just made a play." And he's like, "One day you're going to be asked, what happened?" And you're just going to have to say the guy made a play, and that's really what Germ did in that moment. I mean, he just made a play. Like, he just threw a great ball. The 18 wasn't terrible in coverage for them. He wheeled back around, and then Dorsey made a great catch. He saw the ball all the way in with his hands, his eyes. He locked it away on the way down. So it was a great job by those guys.
Seeing you run fake on punts and pass fake on punts, and there's obviously so many moving components to making those successful. Is one more difficult to execute than the other?
Not that I'm aware of. I feel like they all have their components that, difficult parts or whatever. Some things are easier, some are harder, but ultimately it's a lot of execution. It takes a lot from a lot of guys, and I would credit our players. I mean, I think it helps they know the head coach is going to call these things and run them. And when you have a head coach like that, well, then the players are, "Hey, man, we're going to run this thing." It just puts an emphasis on it when you're practicing it or working on it. And so there's an urgency to making sure that these things come to life the right way that they have. And I think that's a credit to the head coach. Appreciate it.
One last thing before you go, just on the onside kicks, because it's such a low percentage.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've come across in your studies of it, like someone who does it really good. Is there a trick to kicking them the right way?
I think I said it last time. The guys who do it really good are the ones who come down with the ball. A few years ago, we came down with a bunch of them, right? And everyone said, "Man, you guys are great at the onside kicks." And it was like, well, yeah. I mean, we've been fortunate. The ball bounced our way. And I'm not saying it's all luck, but there's definitely some strategy behind it. But yeah, there's a lot to it that is uncontrollable. Yeah.
Did your daughter enter the transfer portal yet?
God, man, she might be.
It's been since training camp. How we doing? Good. Go ahead and open it up.
The Pro Bowl voting came out. I'm going to leave after this. So, Pro Bowl voting came out. Several players, including Panay. He hasn't missed a snap in forever, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is. What does it mean to have that kind of dependability? But also, can you drag him off the field, or is he always insisting, like, "No, you're not going to pull me off. I'm going to be on here"?
No, I think he takes a lot of pride in being out there every snap, both during the game, obviously, but also in practice. He's the same way. He doesn't want to miss reps in practice either. So it's just how he's built mentally. He knows he's such a key cog for us offensively. He doesn't want to let anybody down in that room. So no, he's been phenomenal for us just with his availability throughout the last 2 years.
What is your there's several teams are taking different approaches for this last game, sitting starters, resting guys, whatever it is. Where do you fall on that? Is there any concern of rust versus rest or anything like that? If you guys get up by 25 or whatever in the fourth quarter, would you like to pull guys off?
Listen, I'll be honest with you. I told Coach Campbell this early in the week. Personally, I've never been in this scenario before. This is 12 years in the NFL, and I've only gone to the playoffs one time. And it wasn't knowing going at the end of the season that we were going to be in the playoffs. So that's where when something like that happens, just a good reminder. Yeah, I don't have certain experiences, but I'm surrounded by so many great guys that compensate for that. Coach Campbell's been in this position before. AG's been in this position before. We got such a robust coaching staff that with a wide variety of opinions on how we should proceed in a scenario like this. So I'm trusting the powers that be and that have gone through this before, what the best course of action is to get us ready, not only to win the game this week, but also the future weeks as well.
Pro Bowl question for you. Do you view Goff being an alternate as a snub, and maybe more importantly, is that a motivating motivation for him that he didn't get selected?
Yeah, listen, it's mixed feelings on the Pro Bowl. I'm very proud of the guys that did get voted, whether it was on the first team or an alternate. But there's also a little bit of a popularity contest that goes into that as well. So some guys probably feel like they played a little bit better than maybe where they were recognized, and I don't disagree with that. But it's a little give or take there. But certainly anybody that was recognized on that list, whether they were on the first team or alternate, they've done a heck of a job this year.
Jared, best record in the NFL or the NFC are almost, San Francisco obviously, but I don't know. Do you think specifically with him, do you feel like he was snubbed from that first team?
Listen, I mean, anytime all these guys, a lot of people just look at numbers and not necessarily the tape, and so when you look at it, yeah, he's got some interceptions, but as we talked about over the last few weeks, some of those have occurred on fourth down, and he's trying to make a play under certain circumstances and scenarios, and so maybe the numbers are skewed a little bit. I don't know. I can't say for the other quarterbacks that it's not the same for them as well, but listen, he's playing really good football for us all year, and whether he's first team, it really doesn't matter. We've got our sights set elsewhere.
I don't know how cognizant you are of milestones, I guess, that some of your guys are approaching heading into a finale. And obviously the most important milestone is winning a game, but do you ever dictate your play calls in a situation to help individuals or units accomplish something meaningful to their careers?
I have been a part of that before, absolutely, where you are aware if a guy's close to a certain milestone to try to help them get there and give them opportunities, and they ultimately they got to come through and make the plays on the field for you. But yeah, that's something I've been around before, and everyone's got team goals and also individual goals, and we as coaches, we're here to help them achieve both.
Does it matter to you? I mean, when you've got running backs that have a chance to have the unique 1,000 or all the different things Sam's setting. I think he's just a couple receptions away from the last of the many records that he could set for a tight end in this franchise history. Like, do those, I guess, do they matter to you when you reflect on what you've been able to accomplish as a coach?
Can't tell you right now. It's too early in the season still. We're still pushing to win games right now. And like I said, it's not just about any one guy either. All these guys that are up on game day, they all need opportunities too. And so that's kind of been the challenge each week for us is making sure we spread the ball around and get them all involved.
You have 4 players that have 850 plus scrimmage yards and 9 touchdowns. It's the first time that's ever happened in NFL history. How much have you enjoyed that part of just trying, it's one football, but getting it into all your playmakers' hands, and you've been very successful.
Well, it's a unique problem. There's no question, and that's the beauty about what Brad and his staff have done for us. We were kind of talking about it last week going into the Dallas game, just who we had available for us last year in the Dallas game versus this year, and over the course of now 3 seasons, how the whole offense is really transformed. We got playmakers all over the place, every position group, O-line included. It's really a testament to what Brad and that staff has done for the roster.
Version of this question, I guess, but you have a few developmental rookies that you guys took, kind of knowing that they weren't going to play a ton unless needed, Hendon and Antoine and Colby even. And I'm just curious, what have you seen from them, to this point? Obviously, different situation. Maybe they would be playing this week just to get some reps for the future. But what have you seen from them, I guess, to this point to know that they're on track?
Yeah, no, Coach Campbell has a great plan in place for our team to get ready for each opponent, but also for these young guys to develop on a weekly basis. And so we structure practice in such a way that those guys are getting significant reps. They're getting coached up really well. And from the start of the season until now, or even in Hendon's case, just the last few weeks, you see progress each and every day when they're out there. We take those reps very seriously, and we coach them up, and they continue to improve. So I think all those young players that haven't necessarily gotten reps on game day, you see where, hey, they got a place in this league.
Specifically with Hendon, what have you seen? How has he grown over in the 4 weeks or so that he's been practicing?
It's now all of a sudden taking it from the meeting room to I'm in a huddle, I'm spitting out a play call. the cadence, the motions, just tying it all together. That position's so unique and difficult beyond just the throwing ability, which he clearly has. That the more reps he get, it'll only accelerate his progress.
You look at a 4-game window of Brian Flores' defense, or however many games you look at, how much variance do you see week to week? I'm just talking to Frank about it, right? Like, it's less about the jersey number than where that guy is on the field. That's what you're trying to identify. But how much variance are you seeing in how he attacks offenses week to week?
He's just like we are in terms of who does he have available, And so, as an example, last time we played them, Hicks was on the injury list. We weren't sure if he was going to be active or not even, and he came out and played almost the entire game, and that really dictated how they wanted to play defense that week against us. And then last week they morphed a little bit different based on who they had available. So we anticipate the same thing. I know that they probably haven't been as good the last 3 weeks maybe than they have been the entire year. So they'll continue to tweak and evolve and look to execute their defense. So that's what we got to combat here this week.
Last year, when you decided to come back, you said you wanted to hear a home playoff game at Ford Field. You went to a Garth Brooks concert, and it made you want to hear what that was going to sound like. Now that you have one coming up, how does it feel? Expectations? What are you expecting to hear from Ford Field when you get that?
I'm fired up. Yeah, it's going to be special. It'll be something probably during the national anthem, just kind of soaking it in for a moment. I haven't had much time to reflect on anything, but I think I'll take a second just to breathe and enjoy it with the guys around me.
Because you mentioned 12 years, right? This is your second time going. So
That's right.
How meaningful is it just to sort of be around this group and make the playoffs? I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's like I said, it's really about the people. It's about the people. It's about the coaches that I'm coaching with, and it's about the players too. And so being able to share that experience with them, seeing how hard they've worked. Really not just this year, but it's been a course of the last 3 years to get to this point. Just really proud of the guys that have endured it all. Not only the players and the coach, but also we got such a elaborate support staff that they've gone through the ups and downs now for the last 20 years, that they go unrecognized, and they've been through the thick and the thin. And so for them to go through it, it's going to be pretty special.
Level as a player or a coach without just hating losing, particularly when you lose a game the way you did last week. It's a tough thing, I imagine, to get over. How do you move on from something like that's difficult, that unusual circumstances? How do you move on as a coach? How did you learn to move on as a coach?
Yeah, well, it's you go through the whole range of emotions. It's anger, frustration, and then come out of it. And like end of the day, we're blessed with such a great leader in Dan Campbell that we just he sets us the right way, and we all follow. And so like that's where everybody in this building, we're so fortunate to have him, because he clearly set the table for us earlier in the week here. Hey, we're past this thing, and we're on to the next one. So it makes it easy for the rest of us.
Typical 2-point plays, just given the distance, but how many do you go into a game like having up on your sheet?
Can't tell you that one. Listen, we had a number of them. The first one that we actually had, saw McCarthy calling a timeout. Took a little while for them to stop the play, and so they got to see what it was going to be. And so that was really going to be our first choice. And so you start moving down the call sheet as it goes through that particular situation, which is unique.
7's not a 2-point play, though, right? From 7 yards out, that's just somewhere else in your thing. Or
That one's a little bit different, but we are prepared for that scenario every week. There's certain situations we're prepared for. We're prepared for that one.
Dan said that Jamison is day-to-day, but I know it's going to be all hands on deck this weekend. So with a guy like that who's becoming a growing part of the offense, do you just kind of like watch his snaps a little bit and see how he's feeling, or do you just kind of like try to integrate somebody like DPJ into the offense a little bit more?
Yeah, each week's a little bit different, but certainly, if we need to limit JMO here this week, then DPJ has, over the course of the time that we acquired him, he's gotten better each and every week. We're very comfortable where he's at in the offense and his execution. Same thing with Antoine Green. If his number's called, he'll step up to the challenge and be in a great spot as well. So, yeah, if we have any concerns physically, those guys normally aren't out there, you know, and if they are out there, they're full go. Thanks, guys. Yeah, thank you.